Ighodalo joins us now. He's a pastor, accountant, and a member of the Oil Subsidy Task Force. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, yes, he said so many things in that about 54, 56-hour long speech. And today, the papers just picked up that reaction, protest about the name change. Perhaps we'll come to that subsequently. But interestingly, you're a member of this task force and heavy in the hearts of Nigerians, topmost in the news at that time, this oil subsidy matter. He also addressed that in his speech, saying about what they're doing in the oil and gas sector, and talked about the PIB, expectations from all of those. But perhaps, if you will, in the last year, if we can start with that, your assessment in terms of what they've done. He's reeled out a lot. But do you think the people are on the same page with all that the government has done in this 1 year?
I think part of the government's challenges right now is its communication strategy. The government has not been able to communicate effectively what it intended to do, what it has done, and to show the score sheet of what has happened over the last 1 year. Again, the people have not been able to feel in quantifiable terms the effect of what has happened. And maybe they have not been able to do what we would call, in professional terms, some quick wins. You know, when Fashola came to Lagos, you could see some very quick wins. The BRT came on stream. You could see work being done in the environment. You could see some construction going on here and there. So people could feel immediately the impact of government. I think the federal government can do a lot more in trying to really show the people what is being done and to show very quick wins that this is the direction that we're going. And that's what the people are yearning for.
What kind of quick wins in this case? Because remember, a federal system, yes, states can do that, but at a federal level, what can it be?
Well, the roads, for instance, is a very quick win that the federal can go into. I understand the Benin-Shagamu Expressway is being done. I haven't been on that road, but if that is so, then the people can feel it. One of the roads that will show a quick win will be the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and that they should try and tackle head-on. I know there's something to do with concession and all that, but that road is too strategic for us to just leave as it is, so we should go and tackle that road head-on. Then if they can do the port reforms and people can feel the effect of the port reforms, which they have started, okay, then people will know that, yes, government is serious. And I think quite a bit of work is now going on in the airports, you know. Most of them are like construction sites right now. So things like that, people will begin to feel that we do have government who is doing something.
You know, when you talk about quantifiable outcome, quantifiable results to the extent that the people can actually feel them, and you also try to relate that with communication, does that imply that they have done it well enough to the extent that is by communicating such successes to the people that is wanting?
You know, the challenge with Nigeria, being honest and fair, is that the quantum of the, what you may call, the quantum of the rot over the last years has been so deep that it's going to take a lot to get us out of there. It's going to take consistent and focused effort. One area that should have really been addressed would have been power. A very, very quick and rapid solution or temporary solution to power. That has been a little bit slow coming forth. And therefore, people are really, really very agitated about that. But I guess with the things that have been going on over the last few months, there's some work towards power, but it's been a little bit tedious, a little bit slow, and it could have gone a lot much faster.
So for you, I mean, listening to the president speak yesterday, a host of people have said that it was rather, I mean, it came as a surprise to them. They didn't know that so much work was being done, as it were, in the back, so much so that they're beginning to almost blame the communication strategy. For you, would you say that you knew, did the speech come as a surprise to you, especially when the president said that really now the catalogue of the things that his administration has been able to achieve in the last 1 year?
One thing I know is that a lot of work has been going on in agriculture. I could feel that, although a lot of it is preparatory work to implementation. I could feel the effect of the work going on in agriculture. I heard about the road construction. I haven't been to those parts of Nigeria. Okay, I could see the work in the airports. I go through those airports almost on a daily basis. A lot of it is disruptive to normal human traffic, but you can see where they're going. I mean, I was amazed. 2-3 months ago, I went to I think one of the airports in Abuja, and the toilets had been transformed. Okay, these are little things. Okay, in a nation that has a lot of challenges, as it were, but one area that should really be faced is power. And until people can feel a change in power, they will not really totally feel what government is doing. And then power is not something you can just transform overnight. But if you have a consistent policy, which they should work on, they should just open up the place. You know, if I were president, I would say to most of the oil majors or anybody who wants to go into oil production that power must be one of the things you must tackle. Refinery is one of the things you must also tackle. And then just open up the market.
You spoke about rot in the system, the quantum of rot. Did this speech carry enough on tackling the rot in the system?
I think President could have done a bit more on facing that. The corruption is almost systemic. You know, I was reading somewhere that if you talk about corruption in Malaysia or somewhere like that, that it's once in a while. If you go to Ghana, they say it happens regularly, but in Nigeria it's almost systemic. And now this is since 1966. It's been one thing after the other until it has become almost an expectation in almost every area of our lives. Also, the value system has been a challenge, and this is my own personal challenge, especially with the young kids that are growing up now who don't know right from wrong. So we must have a consistent policy in government to tackle that. Now, if President Goodluck Jonathan can face that, and I think, to be honest, that he has perhaps the greatest opportunity to turn Nigeria around.
Are we in shortage of policies? Because one would think that we've always talked about policies from day one, from the time that everyone has always been, even before we were born, policies upon policies. Is it that we lack policies to actually drive us as a nation to that El Dorado that we all would dream of?
No, we have policies. I mean, everybody. I mean, the blueprint for some nations in Africa were written by Nigerians, and we have that intellectual capacity. What we have lacked is the commitment and the love for Nigeria.
Do you see that kind of commitment and love in this administration?
Well, to be honest, and in fairness to President Jonathan, he has been created by the political environment in Nigeria, and it's taking him a little while to find his feet. But I can begin to see him gradually move in a direction where he does want to put Nigeria in some kind of firm basis. It's a gradual thing for him. It's not something he had thought about.
Perhaps maybe if you can tell us some of those things you've started seeing, so that everyone can keen on that with you, so that we can now say, okay, that's true, he's on that path to leading us to glory land.
You know, this speech that he gave yesterday, it's a good speech, in fairness, okay? He tried to address almost every area of national direction. If he's sincere about this speech, and he focuses on what he said in this speech, it's a good template to begin to drive Nigeria out of where it is. But the problem is, will there be sincerity and will there be focus in the years to come? Only time will tell. But it's a good speech. He's addressed agriculture, food sustainability in Nigeria. Everybody knows that we have the capacity to feed ourselves, okay? We have more than enough resource to do that. Now, if we have the policies and the encouragement and we can feed ourselves, that would be fantastic. He's spoken about power, which is the biggest challenge that we have. If in the next 2 years we can be sustainable in power, then we're there. He spoke about transportation, both road and rail. He wants to develop another 3,000 kilometers of rail line. If we can fix the rail, we know that that will be fantastic, okay? He spoke also about the waterways, all right? If we can get waterway transportation, that would be wonderful. Now, if you have all these things and the policies are consistent, okay? If everybody knows the rules in Nigeria, Nigeria has more than enough energy and resource to turn itself around, okay? So what we want is consistency in policy. I want government to keep its own pact with the nation and develop the infrastructure that the common man cannot develop, or create an environment where the common man can develop his own infrastructure, then you can unleash the energy in Nigeria.
Remember yesterday we were told, I mean, you had to match rhetoric with some of the action that people have seen out there. But if we look at, you talked about quick wins and communication. And for those states where Lagos, for instance, I mean, he doesn't have to be everywhere. The president saying they have to be through ministers, commissioners. Those are also strategic positions that they occupy. From what you've seen of them, have they demonstrated that commitment and zeal to implement and perhaps also bring their own ideas to the table so that people can see that these things are not just being said or read, but they're also being done out there?
You mean the ministers, the
Yep.
federal ministers? Well, you know that in every government, in every environment, you have the 80-20 rule or the 20-80 rule, okay? But sometimes you need just that 20% to really drive the economy. We have a couple of ministers out there who are focused and who want to do their work and want to do their work well. A few of them, of course, are political appointees who also found themselves in these ministries, and they are also trying to, you know what, find their own feet. So you have this challenge in Nigeria of also trying to balance politics with administration, with focus, because of the kind of personality that Nigeria has. And one of the things I have found in life, also as a pastor, is that most of the time it's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's a question of interest. So if it's in my interest, it's okay. If it's not in my interest, it's not okay. So a president has to balance all these things in a nation like Nigeria. And until we have thorough national development where everybody can think and everybody can rationally educate themselves and know exactly what they want, we're going to be having all these challenges. And even in advanced countries, you know, you saw what happened in Russia. Today, what's his name? Putin is president. Tomorrow, Medvedev is prime minister. And it's all politics, okay? Same thing with America. Obama has come out to say he supports people who are same-sex. I think, personally, I think that is outrageous, okay? But he's had to do it. It's in the name of politics.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we see development. They don't play politics with development. So if there's interest or overall interest, shouldn't it be, at the end of the day, about those tangible things that people can see and as such affect their lives?
Yeah, these things take time. America is 250 years old. They've gone through their own patches also. They've gone through their wild, wild west. They've gone through their killings and destructions. Everything evolves over time. In French, you had the French Revolution. In Britain, you had the same sort of thing, the Agrarian Revolution. So things evolve. The challenge with Nigeria is that from 1966, our development was truncated, okay, for whatever reason. And you began to have the people who were not so qualified and who hadn't been through the processes of development being in power. And we've had that even up until today, okay? Our nation has consistently thrown up for us people who have been in leadership who have no vision, who have no direction, who have no basic love even for the nation. And a lot of people who don't understand the fundamentals of leadership. We need to address that. We need to begin to develop in Nigeria a brand new leadership core. And unless we follow the track of this democracy, we may not be able to do that. And it's beginning to evolve in some certain states. It's evolved in Lagos State. It's evolved in Ekiti State. It's evolved in Edo State to some extent. It's evolving in Ogun State. You can see development bringing out gradually, okay, or democracy bringing out gradually the cream to the top. But in 1999, one of my biggest regrets is that the people who should have gone into politics were discouraged from going into politics, both in their own heads and in the environment they found themselves, myself including, thinking that politics is dirty. If politics is dirty, then you go in there and clean it up. So gradually, more people are getting involved in this process, and we must not interrupt this process. We must ensure that we see to the end and begin to look for people who are credible to come into the fore, encourage them and build them up and get them involved.
Tell us about this committee that you're in, because actions and inactions that the government eventually takes or what they do with this report ultimately can change perception or will change perception, whichever way it goes. What's going on with that committee, and how far have you guys gone with the work?
Well, we're maybe 4 or 5 weeks away from our final report. It's an investigation into the oil industry, into the revenue generation of the oil industry, into the debts that have accumulated, and into who is owing who within the oil industry, and hopefully a collection of those debts. So for the first 4 weeks, we had to find out information, what exactly is going on. So we've engaged an MPC, DPR, PPRF, all of them, the oil majors and everything. So we spent time finding out information, okay? And we've come out with quite a lot. I mean, part of the oil, what you may call, the loss of oil from different directions, from the pipelines, from people bringing in ships and picking up the oil and going away. A little bit of connivance here and there. All those things are both systemic and both personality-based. They have to be cleaned out. So we're going to come out with a very comprehensive report on the state of the oil industry, on the state of the revenues, and on recommendations for a way forward, and also getting what has been lost. We pray and we believe and we hope and we can see, and we are sincerely going to insist that whatever we come up with be followed through. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But I do think that there's reason to think that there's sincerity.
That means you're very hopeful.
I am very hopeful, but it's a lot of work. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, because a lot of the challenges have been there. Both of them, some are security issues, okay, and some are, of course, personality issues. Persons who have actually connived to take away our oil.
Why did you, what kind of thoughts went through your mind before you even accepted to be in this committee? Because you know that, yes, the committee can come up with a report, and of course the government can only choose 1 or 2 things to implement out of that report, and people will in turn now say, well, we told you this. Yes, you come up with fantastic recommendations, and unfortunately it will take a long time. Perhaps if they could give that reason, or sometimes they won't even implement your report. What went through your mind before you even accepted to be part of this, knowing that this may happen?
Personally, I'm very passionate about Nigeria. I have committed the rest of my life to seeing that Nigeria changes, and whatever I can personally do to make sure that there's change in this nation, I will do it. And I think it's better for me to have gone there, done the work, made recommendations, okay, and at least done my part, than for me not to go there at all, and the work is not done, and then nobody implements anything. So I really like, right now we have a template or something that people can work on, and I'm going to shout from the rooftop, and I'm going to say, you guys have to do this thing, and I'll keep talking until it is done. Okay? We can't all sit in our homes grumbling and complaining and not do anything and think the nation will fix itself. It is the people that fixes the nation for the people, and that must be done. And everybody in Nigeria must come out and be part of it. Okay? You're complaining about roads in Nigeria, fix the road in front of your house. You're complaining about gutters and drainage, fix your own drainage. You're complaining about this and that, play your own part, okay? In your own company, lead your company well. Lead it with fairness and truth. In your home, lead your home well. In your community, lead your community well. In your local government, we have to go down to the local governments in Nigeria.
You should have some mindset before embracing that, because does it worry you that loads and loads of committees, in whatever guise, the bulk percentage of them have not been listened to, or kind of blueprint or recommendations have not been implemented? Does it worry you that this just might be one of such?
It does. I think about it a lot. And we must find a way. I've told our committee chairman that this report must be implemented. We must make sure it is. It does. But that's part of the systemic problem we have in Nigeria. A lot of grandstanding, a lot of politics, a lot of talk, not enough work. And some of us have to begin to insist that there must be work. We must walk the talk.
Do you also think that, as time goes on, you've talked about how other countries and their democracies have gone through different patches. Do you think that we've gone through our own major patch just yet?
I would like to think so. We've been through a civil war. We've been through years of military rule, which was not very good for this country, all in all. We've been through a nascent democracy. We've almost hit the bottom in Nigeria. And I think the only way we can go is up. And some of us must come together and insist that we go up. And we're all going to do that.